It's time for Real Talk with Brian and Dan, the weekly talk radio show dedicated to discussing important real estate topics, plus insight into the local community. With a combined experience of over 50 years as local real estate brokers from the East Side Real Estate Team at Keller Williams Realty Bellevue. Here's your hosts, Brian Levitt and Dan Edwards.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW. It's Wednesday, October 9th, and we are very glad you joined us today, whether it be on the radio, in your car, or we are now live streaming around the world. It's pretty cool.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, that's fantastic. If you would like to listen to any past episodes, you can find those anywhere podcasts are casted. I personally use Google Podcasts. Brian, do you listen to podcasts?
Yep, Google.
Google, all right. So there's also, a bunch of others. So please download, listen to them. We'd love your feedback. And you can also view past broadcasts on the eastsiderealestateteam.com or our Facebook page. Now, please do feel free to share. We love that. We've got another great show for you. Today I'm excited to talk real estate. We've got some great guests. We've got Pat Stone, Executive Chairman and founder of Williston Finanacial Group, and Abby Burdick of Abby Burdick Designs. But before we get to our guests, it's time for some Real Talk.
Now that the weather is getting a bit colder outside, a lot of people are turning up the heat in their homes, which brings up the topic of energy usage and efficiency. Today we're going to share a few tips on how to improve the energy efficiency in your home. As a homeowner, it's important to keep your home running efficiently, not only to save money, but to keep the environment the one we want.
Yeah.
Keep it clean, dude.
Keep it green and clear skies, blue skies out there today. I know one of the real easy things that it used to be really expensive, but it's not anymore, is LED lighting. You know, putting LED lighting throughout your house, it's a great way to do it. It actually lasts 25 times longer, and it uses 90% less electricity than incandescent bulbs. So by swapping out 5 of your home's most frequently used bulbs, now that's an interesting one, change out just the ones you use the most, it's possible to save about $75 annually.
My home, we've switched. Anytime we replace a bulb, it's an LED that's going in as a replacement. We got rid of all the CFLs because we just don't like the light that it casts.
It takes a while for them to heat up. They were kind of funky.
Awful. Yeah.
One of the things that we did is Costco, right? They always have stuff coming out.
They have subsidized programs.
Yeah, the ones that you get a rebate from Puget Sound Energy.
Yep.
And most recently, though, my electrician put new canned ones in, and you're able to select the color of light.
Really?
So you can actually go from a bright white to more of a yellow. So it depends on how you want to do it. You can just adjust it.
Yeah, so that's interesting. We might touch on that in our staging conversation today.
Yeah,
because that's
color of lighting, right?
So another great tip is to seal those leaks. On average, heating and cooling account for almost half of a home's energy consumption. All the little leaks really add up, and in some cases can be equivalent to leaving a 3-foot by 3-foot window wide open. That's an interesting conversation in my house, the dad conversation.
You like to have your windows closed?
Yeah, shut the door if the furnace is running, guys. Come on.
Were you born in a barn?
Yes, well, my family, my boys
grew up in a barn.
My daughter. So here's a tip. Take simple steps like caulking any leaks around the windows, chimneys, recessed lighting, and sliding draft guards under your doors to save up to 20% on heating costs.
So this year I did a lot of updates to my house.
Yeah.
One of the things I did was triple pane windows. So they new seals all around those triple pane windows, including the sliding glass doors, and also had the ducting, the work under the crawl space sealed.
Nice.
Yeah, with mastic. It's kind of like a metal-like substance that seals all the gaps.
Yeah.
So I can tell the difference already. My furnace comes on a fraction of the time versus the way it used to.
And probably limiting drafts, much more comfortable.
Yeah, and what's interesting, too, is now they have these, I use Ecobee or the Nest home systems.
Yeah.
I was trying to find how to set the timer on them.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do it. Not on the one I have.
My Nest I can,
and I do. It just starts to do it. It determines it by you being home or not.
Yeah, a smart feature.
It's weird.
Like you can override.
It's creepy.
At least on mine, you can override that.
You can override and set a specific schedule.
Right.
Yeah. I just ask Alexa to turn up or turn down the thermostat.
Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So what's the last one?
Well, once you have the leaks sealed up, how do you heat and cool efficiently?
Yeah.
You going to talk about that?
Oh, yeah. Once you've got them, don't waste the installable programming thermostat. I just talked about it. Yeah, I got that point.
Okay, so our last tip with energy efficiency is to maintain your heating and cooling units, your HVAC, And if I got a tip for you, yesterday I ran into one of our vendors who provides home warranties. And a home warranty is basically an insurance policy that covers any systems or system failures in your home. Typically, we might use that when a buyer purchases a home to provide them typically a 1-year warranty. But this vendor, if you purchase a warranty, they will provide a furnace tune-up as part of that warranty, free of charge. So that typically runs about $150 for
the tune-up.
The tune-up.
Yeah.
The warranty's $300. So you're getting essentially half off on a home warranty. Spend an extra $150, get your furnace tuned up.
That's cool.
And have a warranty for the remaining year.
So, and I would say those furnace tune-ups can be anywhere from $150, to $250, $275.
Yeah.
Depending on the size of the furnace, the high efficiency. The furnace that I have is like one of the oldest ones. And my furnace guy said, you can replace it with a new one, but the parts to fix it are higher and the maintenance is higher. So why not just keep it running well? Yeah.
So if you're interested in a tune-up and a warranty, give us a call. We'd be happy to connect you with our home warranty vendor. We'll hook you up.
All right. So winter tune-ups, those are good. Anything else you can think of to make your home more cost efficient? I use firewood.
Well, I like heating with wood. We like the direct heat of that. I was reading a thread on Facebook today of people talking about where you keep your thermostat set, and the consensus that I saw, most people around 68, and that's really efficient. And so when you're home, 68, and then like at night. In my house, at night, we set it at 55 or 60.
Drop it down.
And then it kicks on before we get up to that 68. But 68 is comfortable, but it's a lot less expenditure to heat your home to 68 than to, say, 72.
So how the Ecobee works is you can put sensors throughout the house. So if you have a good-sized house, it'll notice which room you're in more often and keep that temperature comfortable.
Interesting. So zone heating.
Nice. It's a different way of doing it. So
cool.
Well, that's our tip. That's our real estate talk for now. Let's see.
So after the break, we'll have our mortgage moment with local mortgage expert, Michael Burdick. Michael, welcome to the show.
Yeah, he's in studio
today. He's
sitting
here with us today. Yep. We will be here to learn how mortgage rates are and maybe talk about refi a little bit.
How low can they go?
How low can they go? Yep. We'll be right back.
Not sure if now is the right time to sell? Worried you missed the market? The Eastside Real Estate Team specializes in helping homeowners maximize their equity when selling. With our proven premier listing service, our clients have sold their homes for more money in less time than the competition. We know you have many choices when working with a real estate agent, but with the Eastside Real Estate Team, you get a team of highly qualified, experienced agents. From staging to deciding if your property is market ready for top dollar. If you're considering selling, call the Eastside Real Estate Team at 425-200-4093. Or check out our website at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.
Are you overwhelmed with what it takes to get your property market ready or don't know where to start? Abby Burdick Designs can take you step by step through preparing the interior of your home for sale for maximum interest and value for potential buyers. Abby Burdick Designs offers individualized services in all forms and at all price points to align with your needs. Abby Burdick Designs welcomes home staging and interior improvement questions and conversations in all forms at all times. Call 425-890-2343 or email abby@abbyburdickdesigns.com for more information.
Get your daily dose of variety. Alternative Talk 1150.
All right, welcome back to the show. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan. It's now time for our Mortgage Moment segment. During this segment, we get a quick update on the lending side of the home buying process. And today in studio, we are talking with Michael Burdick, the loan consultant specialist expert with Loan Depot. Welcome to the studio, Michael.
Thank you very much, Dan. Great to be here.
Once the snow hits, I know it will be harder for us to get a hold of you.
Then I'll be remote again.
Yes.
Maybe not.
Oh, there you go.
I'll be on top of the mountain.
Awesome.
So, Michael, what are common mistakes home buyers make during or before they buy a home?
So that's a great question, and it's one that I like to, get ahead of so I can talk to buyers when they're initially, thinking about buying so we can avoid some of these. But thought we should just kind of go through a number of, bullet point, a number of them here and just talk them over. But really something that we've talked about in prior discussions and episodes is getting pre-approved.
Yep.
It's something that's very important. You don't want to go out and look at 10 homes and realize that you're $100,000 over your actual budget. And sometimes I can pre-approve someone that high, but they aren't comfortable with that payment.
Right.
Well, I think sometimes too, what happens is they go away, right? So they get all excited about the process. They get out there, they see a home they love, and they realize, like you said, it's a stretch for their budget or that they can't afford it. And then they just kind of walk away from the opportunity of even buying.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's the biggest one, preparing yourself before you get out there and start shopping. And then once you're in the process, there are some things that can kind of, implode your loan and really get you off track. And those would be obtaining new debt prior to closing. So I have some people that buy their dream house and they get so excited that they go out and they buy all their furniture and they finance that.
Finance it.
And I get, when you're in the loan process, we have to do a soft credit check before closing, and we'll see that they've obtained new debt. And it's only happened to me a few times where we've had to get really creative and backtrack and pay stuff off and maybe lower the down payment to get somebody approved at the end because they've done something like that. But that's something
because
that
essentially what
avoid.
they're doing is they're messing with their ratio, their debt to income ratio.
Right.
Yep.
So I had a transaction right now where one of the buyers decided to change jobs a few days before closing. And fortunately, we're still able to qualify. We can't use any of that borrower's income, but there's enough other income available that we're okay. But it was like,
no, that's actually on my list. And that's happened to me, and it's something that, some people just don't think we're going to find that out. But we do, when you're in the mortgage process.
They weren't hiding it. They were very upfront. It was time to make a change, and that's great. But first thing we did is, ran the numbers, made sure we could still get them in the home.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, I think for myself, personally, when I go through this kind of a high stakes process, I try to think very linearly, one thing at a time. And so, a lot of times the discussion between myself and my wife will be, well, let's get this done first so that we do that. And that's what we're talking about here. Totally. Let's get the house purchase done first and then go crazy and buy the couch.
Run up the American dream, get everything you need. Let's see, what else we got? So
what's happening? Go ahead.
I was going to say, when you're in process, one thing that we really hate on the mortgage side is when people schedule their moving trucks, just on the close date without, talking to the lender and really figuring out where they're at with the closing process. Because just because we have that date, that's not a set in stone date. I mean, we absolutely want to hit that date and give you your keys on that date, but sometimes there's things that are out of our control in the mortgage industry. So,
well, now with the new laws, you've got the closing disclosure requirements that are hard.
That's
you can't bend those.
What is that? Reg Z? Is that what that?
The closing disclosure where
CD
3 days prior, you have to do full disclosure, and there's no waiving that. There's no getting around it.
No waiving that. Yeah, it needs to be 3 business days. So Saturday counts, Sunday doesn't. So we try to get that out as soon as possible in the process and have people e-sign that.
That's really when you know you're going to close, is once that closing disclosure is out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it needs to be done. So if you have a lender that doesn't get that out, then you're going to add 3 days to the process there. One other thing that I talk to all my buyers as part of their process, we come up with their funds for down payment, how much they want to put down, whether it's 5%, 20%, but when they're going to bring that to closing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But right when they make their offer, they come in with their earnest money. And if they want to use that towards their down payment, I need to source it. So some people
know where it came from, right?
Yeah, some people will grab that money from a friend or from their mattress, and it's something they don't think I'm going to check on, but no, we source
you
that.
know where it came from.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, that concludes our mortgage moment for the week. Thanks so much for talking with us. How do our listeners get a hold of you?
Well, I always say you can Google Michael Burdick with Loan Depot, and you'll find me. I've got Zillow reviews online. I've got a good website that has some good information on there, and my phone number is 206-661-2289.
Perfect. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Next up, after the break, we'll be talking to the president and CEO of Williston Financial Group, Patrick Stone. So excited to have Pat here today. I will be discussing both the local and national housing market. You don't want to miss that segment.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Did you know when you pay rent, you're actually paying someone else's mortgage? Are you tired of missing out on owning your own home? Fact: homeowners on average have 40 times the financial net worth of renters. The Eastside Real Estate Team has been helping many first-time homebuyers find and buy their first home. They specialize in customer service and put you first. They listen first to what you're looking for, and then they take the time to make sure their clients understand every aspect of the home buying process. If owning a home has been your dream, the Eastside Real Estate Team can help you. For a free, no-hassle consultation, call 425-200-4093 or find them online at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.
Do you remember the feeling when you fell in love with and made an offer on your home? Green Design specializes in creating those magic moments for buyers by showcasing your home in its best light. Our expert home staging assures that buyers create an emotional attachment to your home. Tiffany and her talented staging team have quickly become one of the East Side's most respected home staging companies, having been awarded in customer satisfaction many times over by House. When it's time to sell your home with confidence, call Tiffany with Green Design's Home Staging to schedule your consultation. You can call or text 206-795-3686 or visit their website at greendesignsllc.com.
Working hard to put a smile on your face. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan. Our first guest today is Pat Stone, Executive Chairman, founder of Williston Finanacial Group.
Pat has enjoyed a lengthy career in real estate and real estate-related services, including C officer positions with 3 public companies. CEO, CFO, COO. I think that's what we're talking about. 3 public companies, and as a director in 2 Fortune 500 boards. The senior executive management positions include 9 years as president and COO of the nation's largest title insurance company, chairman and co-CEO of a software company, and CEO of a real estate data and information company.
Currently, Pat serves as the executive chairman and founder of Williston Finanacial Group, as well as serves on the board of Nassau Resurgence, Transmodus, Tri-Sting Tree Golf Club, and Inman News, who named him one of 2013's 100 most influential people in real estate, and in 2015, one of the top 101 real estate industry doers. Additionally, Pat has also served as vice chairman of the Metro Cities Mortgage, a 2005 top 20 lender, and as chairman of the Stone Group, an Austin, Texas-based tenant rep brokerage company, as well as on those boards of Fidelity Financial, First American Corporation, FNIS, Micro General, SKLD, World Minerals. Wow, there's a ton of them here, Pat. Green Street Advisors, Digital Map, Home Gain, Red Vision, and Wyston Capital.
Pat's philanthropic involvement has included service as chairman of the Santa Barbara Art Museum and as a director of the Portland Art Museum. He is a past chairman of the Oregon State University Foundation and co-chair its billion-dollar capital campaign. Patrick has 3 beautiful daughters and 4 grandchildren and resides in Portland, Oregon with his wife, Vicki. Pat, welcome to the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're a busy guy, so we won't take up a lot of your time, but in the meantime, when you're not doing any of that amazing work, do you have any hobbies or interests?
Well, I play a lot of golf, I collect art, and I enjoy my grandchildren.
Ah, perfect.
So we'd like to ask each guest to share with us a fond memory of the home you grew up in. What do you got for us, Pat?
Well, I grew up in a really small town in southwestern North Dakota on the southern edge of the North Dakota Badlands.
Wow.
My father built our home in 1953. I was 6 years old, and my memory is helping him. I had a can, and every day he'd have me go around and pick up nails and things that had, fallen on the side. And so I always felt very busy and very involved in building that home. And I I look back on it, it's very cold there. It got down
Yeah.
to 40 below every winter.
Yeah.
So you didn't build a very big home. And I look back on it thinking at the time, oh, this is a gigantic palace he's building. It was 900 square feet.
Oh, wow.
Wow. But that's
But
when your housing career started, right there.
That's when my housing career started.
Well, listen, we appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. You've got a great pedigree and a lot of insight that we want to share with our listeners. So the housing market in Seattle has been pretty hot. And can you share with us what's driving that growth and how long can it continue?
Well, I think what is driving it basically is employment growth. And if you want to see something interesting, you plot the employment growth along with home price appreciation, and employment growth has gone up steadily since the downturn.
Mm-hmm.
Home price appreciation went up steadily right along with it up until about a year and a half ago, and then it started leveling off a little. Still increasing, but we are really experiencing a demand-driven, employment growth-driven market.
And as far as I understand, with the housing slowing, yet the growth in jobs. I mean, didn't Amazon just announce more, and Google and Facebook all announced more stuff here in the Puget Sound area? So does that mean the housing market's going to continue to stay hot?
Well, hot's a funny word. And
Loaded word.
Maybe, I've been around way too long to use the word hot. Let me put it this way. It will be demand-driven for the foreseeable future. I do not see us getting into a position where supply exceeds demand in the next 5, 6, 7 years.
Wow.
So you're going to have home price appreciation, although I think it'll be more rational than it has been. And it'll be more balanced, and it will even out over time as you start to see more starter homes being built.
Yeah, I know one of the things,
refreshing. Yeah.
I've been in the business 14 years. Brian has been doing it for 38 years. But for me, it's kind of refreshing to talk to our friends, our colleagues, when they ask us how the market is. And we say, you know what, it's good. It's stable, right? So to take away from what you're saying is it feels more balanced. Yeah,
I think it's not quite, I want to be careful here. It's not quite back to what I would call a balanced normal market. It is still, we still haven't built enough homes to have a truly balanced market. By that I mean if you went back and plotted the average number of new homes constructed in the U.S. from I think 1959 to 2007, the average was about 1 million new homes a year. We haven't topped 1 million new homes since 2007. We haven't even come close to it.
Of new construction.
New construction, right.
Yeah, new construction has been lagging. Starter homes have been lagging. Now we're starting to see some wage and salary growth at the lower end of the income scale. In fact, it's about 4% for the lowest one-third. So we're starting to see people who haven't had any income growth for a long time experience some income growth. I think that will result in more new starter homes being built. We have one major national home builder that started developing starter home subdivisions this year. That was Lennar. And I think you'll start seeing more of that going forward.
And I think you just answered my next question about the buying trends. I really wish we'd see more starter homes. I think for us, the land prices and the concurrency fees, in my opinion, is our local government is the biggest enemy of affordable housing.
This is King County, right?
King County, yeah. But even local, Sammamish, for example, has the highest concurrency fees. It's tough. It's tough to build. So
that's true, and it's really funny because you look at the Northwest. We've had a very significant influx of young people moving into the Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
We've had great job growth in the Northwest, and yet we have a little bit of bureaucracy working against us in terms of zoning, urban development restrictions, housing development restrictions. So
right.
I think we need to see some changes there pretty quick.
So what, I know a lot of people have talked about the upzoning in Seattle, and they've talked about, bringing back condos because condos have been off the ability to build now. I mean, what kind of solutions do you see on a local level or a government level that would help create more affordable housing, starter level housing in this area?
If I may, and I'm going to get a little bit philosophical on you,
Please
it
do.
really requires a more long-term view so that you develop infrastructure to support a broader level of development. We have major urban centers, but our infrastructure is always sort of a backfill effort.
Yep.
To create the infrastructure after we have the need instead of developing the infrastructure to facilitate growth. So the only answer short-term is to increase density. long term, we need to create it. When we do something with infrastructure, we need to do it in a manner that it facilitates growth for a 50-year cycle. You
Right.
can't do this fill-in type stuff. It is extremely expensive.
I was going to say, it
not
costs
very
more money, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It costs way more money. So I think you're going to have to see more density. We are in Portland. We're seeing this sort of an infill cycle where you're going to be building multiple units of what has been traditionally single-family zoned areas.
Right.
We'll see how that goes, but these are stopgap measures. Long term, again, we need to say, okay, here's a 50-year plan, and ultimately it'll be cheaper for everybody, but it requires a little bit of forethought.
So I think I read that Oregon and Portland was basically eliminating single family as a zoning to do exactly what you're talking about. Is that?
Yeah, they're trying. It's really interesting to watch the social impact of that, and it gets magnified at higher price levels, obviously. So we'll see how it goes.
That's interesting. So there's a pushback socially.
There's a pushback socially at the higher end. Now,
Gotcha.
fair or not, I don't even want to get into that.
Right,
sure.
It is a stopgap Band-Aid measure, and I suspect we're going to have to do something like that, or we're going to have a huge problem. So it is what it is.
So builders seem to be building more and more. I mean, that's what I'm seeing. What do they know? What are you think the builders are moving towards?
Well, it's interesting you say that because, as I mentioned earlier, actually, building has not even recovered to a historical norm.
2007, yeah.
Yeah, we're building more, but we're still not building what we historically built in terms of a number of new units. And I think you will see that recover over the next few years. But builders have tremendous costs in land acquisition, development
Right.
costs. Getting a subdivision, I can remember when I did my first subdivision about 40 years ago, and I did it like in 2 months. Right now it takes 2 years.
Oh,
I mean,
geez.
it's crazy.
This isn't the subdivision in South Dakota. That was one house. That doesn't count.
No, it was here in Portland, Oregon, but it was here before. I mean, it was a little bit more rational process.
Yeah, I'm a year and a half in on a 5-lot short plat, and I'd say it's going really well. And so,
Well, so there's obviously a lot of stuff real estate wise is location and local, but can you share with us the national market and how that's going to impact this area?
Yeah, the national market is really, really interesting, and it is one of the problems we have in our industry, and our industry being every aspect of real estate, is that things get distilled down and presented on national averages, like the Case-Shiller Index and so forth. And the national market is very, very, very different from area to area. The high end stalled out in the Northeast starting about 2 years ago, and it's actually gotten to be problematic, I think, in places like New York right now.
Yeah.
The Southeast is still benefiting from an influx of population, but it's gotten to be somewhat problematic there also. Texas, you've had tremendous job growth in Texas. You've got the tax advantages. You got 4 states, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, and Nevada, that don't have income tax. So they've all had some benefit influx of both business and people. Midwest, I would say, is actually hurting way more than people understand, mainly because agribusiness has been destroyed by the trade
wars. Yeah.
And you look around, you say West Coast is good, but the high end slowed down in the major markets. The 3 states with the highest level of appreciation are Idaho, Utah, and Nevada. Go figure, right? But I think that's because people are moving from the West Coast inland into those markets like Boise and Las Vegas and so forth.
Yeah, and I was, I've had several colleagues and friends actually relocate from here, the east side, to Eagle, Idaho is one place.
Right.
Because of the way work now exists online, right? You can telecommute essentially in many, many jobs. There seems to be that ability to kind of relocate to a place where you're going to have more favorable, affordable housing, right?
Yeah, and you're also seeing, I mean, just and not to cause any unnecessary alarm, but candidly, the tech industry is way overinvested.
Mm.
If you want to say, is there a bubble? There's no bubble in housing, but there's a bubble in tech. So you're starting to see people, taking a serious second thought about living in places like the Bay Area or Los Angeles, and they're moving inland. They're actually moving from Portland and Seattle to places like Idaho. So.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
seeing
and like
that.
Quincy here, which is right over has one of the fastest internet backbones in the United States, and it's
You're all fiber.
I think it's about 2 hours away from Seattle. But some people in LA are commuting that kind of time. So it's interesting to see how the next 20 to 30 years, how people are going to be living. It's not going to have to necessarily be anchored to a large mega city.
I would agree with that. I think that's one of the benefits of technology and the internet. Absolutely.
So, Pat, we're seeing a rapidly changing real estate industry. NAR versus National Association of Realtors versus U.S. Justice Department. What change do you see going forward in the title industry from all this stuff?
Well, if you look at the title industry, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that insurance is regulated by state. Almost every other industry has a national overlay or national oversight, but insurance is actually regulated every state in a different manner. So my company right now, I do business nationally. I'm a truly national company. We report to 130 different regulators quarterly.
Wow. Oh, wow.
I mean, it's crazy. So the ability of the insurance industry to change rapidly or to adopt any meaningful change quickly is really mitigated by regulation. Now, one thing I do see happening in our industry is that because we are a small component of the insurance industry, and I don't want to bore you or your listeners, but if you're an insurance department, you're running an insurance department, you are funded by premium tax. And you get very little premium tax from the title insurance industry, so it's sort of an afterthought.
Yeah.
And you look at our industry and you look what's happening, we have had basically a liability-based pricing system forever. In other words, house prices go up, we charge more.
Right.
Which is kind of wonder about that. If you examine the same property 10 times in 20 years and you charge more each time, that doesn't make much sense, does it? So I think the biggest thing that's going to happen in our industry is you're going to see a little bit more risk-based pricing. I think there's 16 states doing data calls right now to try to determine how much of the title premium is actually risk-based.
Yeah. Blockchain for title.
Yeah, well, not blockchain, but you are going to see a little bit more rational pricing model come into being in the title insurance industry. And I would argue that you're going to probably see a little bit more rational pricing model across the real estate industry.
Yeah,
right. That's what we're looking at.
Well, and that's exactly what we're kind of getting at is, we get it. Housing prices go up, and yes, there's an exponential relationship of our commission, and so is title as a relationship to the price. At some point, the competition, the pressure has to be adjusted for value, and I think that's the key, right? Like, what's the risk involved from a title perspective? Oh, well, Pat, we could probably spend another hour and a half chatting with you. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come in.
Well, my pleasure. Happy to visit with you anytime. Like what you guys do, and let me know if I can help you in any way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
After the break, we have Abby Burdick of Abby Burdick Designs. Stay with us for more.
Not sure if now is the right time to sell? Worried you missed the market? The Eastside Real Estate Team specializes in helping homeowners maximize their equity when selling. With our proven premier listing service, our clients have sold their homes for more money in less time than the competition. We know you have many choices when working with a real estate agent, but with the Eastside Real Estate Team, you get a team of highly qualified, experienced agents. From staging to deciding if your property is market ready for top dollar. If you're considering selling, call the Eastside Real Estate Team at 425-200-4093. Or check out our website at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.
Are you overwhelmed with what it takes to get your property market ready or don't know where to start? Abby Burdick Designs can take you step by step through preparing the interior of your home for sale for maximum interest and value for potential buyers. Abby Burdick Designs offers individualized services in all forms and at all price points to align with your needs. Abby Burdick Designs welcomes home staging and interior improvement questions and conversations in all forms at all times. Call 425-890-2343 or email abby@abbyburdickdesigns.com for more information.
Get inspired every hour right here on Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan.
Our next guest is Abby Burdick of Abby Burdick Designs, Home Staging and Interior Improvements.
Abby Burdick Designs is pleased to be able to provide intentional and individualized design and staging services to you. They're successful when they create a pleasing and beautiful environment in your home with their design and staging services. Abby's job is to bring an individualized and intentional home styling approach and furnishings to maximize interest and value from potential buyers. Today, she's here with us to discuss all the wonderful things she did for our most recent listing. Right?
Yeah.
Abby, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Abby, tell us what you like to do when you're not staging homes.
Right.
Sure. So I have a 2.5-year-old daughter, so my hobbies have changed in the last few years, keeping her happy, healthy, and thriving, of course. But on the weekends and with friends and family, my husband and I own a travel trailer, and we take it up to the mountains in the winter and the Pacific Northwest beaches in the summer.
Glamping.
And recreate, yeah.
It's not just a travel trailer. It's an Airstream.
It is.
Oh,
yes, her name is
yeah.
Betty, and yes, she's
Betty.
a part of the family.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Betty. Why Betty?
Betty Bird. Doesn't that just have a nice ring to it?
that's
Yeah,
great.
Betty
Love it.
Bird.
So we always ask our guests to kind of go back memory lane and reflect on growing up in the house they grew up in. So tell us your story.
Yeah, actually, mine is kind of seasonally appropriate, which is nice. I grew up in a housing development, and for what our house was just positioned perfectly in this housing development. We were kind of the epicenter, right next to the park that was built in, and it was just kind of the front and center, which made it the trick-or-treat Halloween.
Oh.
Everybody hit our house. We're talking hundreds of doorbell rings.
You guys
and
handed out apples or pencils?
No, definitely not. Definitely not that neighborhood. And, to the point where I remember my parents would have to kind of tap back into our trick-or-treat candy just to kind of keep it going. So, yeah, that's a great memory. And like I said, kind of seasonally appropriate there.
So how did you get into home staging?
Sure. So a family friend is unfortunately fiercely fighting cancer at the moment. She had a successful home staging and interior design business, and it was just time for her to let go. She'd been running the business for about 20 years, and I was the phone call she made. She said, Abby, this is your business. I want you to take it on, fill my shoes. You will love the what it brings to your schedule, your family, your work-life balance, and you're the one. I will say I was kind of hesitant at first. I worked for the city of Bellevue in the Parks Department, a job I never thought I'd leave, collect my pension at the end. But I tried to do both for about 3 months before I realized this really was my calling, and I went for it full time.
So if I had a friend and they called me, I'd be like, no. So, I mean, what kind of thoughts or skills or what prepped you for that?
Gosh, close to nothing. I just went into it. It's one of those YOLO moments. There is something about it.
Surely you had to have a creative bone in your body.
Yes.
I do not. Okay?
Yes, definitely. It is a huge creative outlet. That is kind of, it's hard to identify because, home staging, you think of decorating homes, spending money. I mean, yes, as a female, I did a lot of that in my own home. And so this has just been, a nice way to kind of channel that creative energy into a business and get paid for it, which is nice.
Just think about when you have a home.
Yes, I know, right? Oh, boy.
They're building a home for the listeners out there. So
yes, proud landowners still at this moment.
Yes,
so.
proud landowner. Your own slice of Americana.
Yes.
Yep. So tell us a little bit about the business then.
Yeah. So, I want to keep the business as simple as possible. That's a goal of mine. It really comes down to inventory, storage, and movers. I couldn't do it without those three things. I do own all my own inventory, about 4 or 5 homes worth of furniture and accessories. Of course, I do have to store it someplace, and when I need help bringing it to a listing and bringing it back to storage, that's where the movers come in. And to just keep it that simple is how I want it to be. So then it's just a matter of networking and staying busy and building relationships and, staying in the market. So, I have work for my movers and my inventory to do.
Awesome.
So, Abby, what different types of staging services do you offer?
Yeah, I would say that there's probably 4 different kind of services that I offer. One is just a consultation that where I can just come in and assist a homeowner with kind of a home staging report, a place, kind of a where to start. And if they're willing to roll up their sleeves and do it themselves and they follow directions very well, it can kind of end there, which is a nice affordable option. But then if I'm going to come back with a little bit of inventory and do like a partial or a soft stage, where I'm kind of aligning some of my inventory with the homeowners, that's another kind of way of doing it, just kind of taking it a step further. And then the third service is kind of an unoccupied full stage. I would say that this is the most popular and the most fun for me to do. The house is clean, ready, and vacant for me to show up with a truck full of stuff and make it look great, make it look market ready. The fourth service that I offer is everything else. I don't want to be everything to everybody, but if there's something that makes sense, it feels good, it can help the homeowner, then that everything else category is something that I'm open to.
It's kind of the above and beyond, probably.
Yeah.
If you want to have a business that stands out amongst the rest, you have to be willing to do what others won't.
Sure.
Within a scope of your expertise, right?
You got it. Mm-hmm.
So take me through the most recent listing that we have coming up in Sammamish. It's launching today. This was one of those blank slates, right?
Yes.
So describe how that went, like in a day in the life at the same time.
Sure. So you say blank slate. I mean, it is the coolest house with the coolest.
Cool.
I've been calling it the man cave house, and it is just
I know
so
the
cool.
house.
Yeah.
I love it, love it. So it was a fun blank slate to at least begin with. I visit the property, take tons of pictures, and just kind of evaluate. Okay, how much inventory am I bringing in, if any at all? Just kind of evaluating what the project is. Then, of course, we coordinate the staging with staging date with the movers, the homeowner, and so forth. Then I head to my storage and just start taking blue painter's tape and start tagging what I think will work. I've got those photos that I took in front of me, and I'm just kind of doing that madhouse around my inventory, just seeing, okay, this will work, that'll work, this will work, that'll work.
So, Abby, let me take you back a little bit. How much input did the seller have as you're going through and doing this?
None.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Because he was just like, go ahead.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, great guy with a beautiful home, and so it was just empty. So, I do think that it's going to bring huge value. So then that's kind of when the fun begins, though. Staging day is when the fun begins. I kind of look at it as almost like a game show.
Like Christmas?
Yeah, kind of like Christmas, yes. I've only been to the home for, 15, 20 minutes. I've looked through the photos about 100 times. But, now I just feel like I'm on a game show of some kind where you just make it work. I like to stage in a day. Or I kind of promise that I'll stage in a day. And so you just show up with the truck and kind of spread it out and make it work amongst the house. I take a lot of photos as I'm staging to see how it would look through the professional photographer's, lens.
Oh, cool.
And you just kind of play ring around the rosy with the inventory that you brought until it's complete. So, yeah, it's a good time. I really enjoy it. It's a fun challenge for sure.
So you mentioned the word value. So tell us about that. How does it bring value?
Yeah. So, there's lots of statistics out there, that a staged home spends 90% less time on the market. 77% of buyers will say it's easier to visualize a property if it's staged. So all those things are great. But another example that I have that we worked on, Dan, was that property out in Carnation. Beautiful piece of property that almost spoke for itself. Out in the valley, a great house. It was on the market and kind of sat for a while. We decided to delist, and you contacted me to bring in a soft stage, just kind of complement some of the stuff that the homeowner already had. I think we painted and relisted. Was it 1-2 weeks?
I think maybe 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah. And, there was a few offers on that home and it sold shortly after. Yeah. So, that's just value. That's that great example of, some of the work that I've personally done. So,
yeah. And, we always advise all of our listings to get a staging consult and then invest in it. Right. And we can't always get them to buy into it. So that was a good example. They were like, the market's really good. Let's just go ahead. They had some nice stuff in there. Right. But then they were just missing a few things. So when we were able to kind of complete that cycle, it helped, I think, really paint a better picture. Because, you can look at a blank canvas and you got one thing. And then you can look at a half-done photo and have another. And then you got a completed photo, and it really tells the whole story.
Right.
So sometimes half is worse than nothing at all.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. So what are the top 3 home staging tips for homeowners to do themselves?
You know, the best thing about this question is it's actually, we already all know the answers, and the answer of all three tips are free. So it's not necessarily, to bring in and pay a stager. Declutter, depersonalize, and clean. I would think that those are the, absolutely where to start. And if there's some sort of, consultation that can happen from a staging perspective thereafter, that's a whole nother thing. But the top three, market ready staging tips: declutter, depersonalize, and clean.
So what are 3 buyer turnoffs to avoid inside the home?
Sure. So, I would say if for any reason...
Clutter, personalized, and dirty.
And clean. Right. And that was kind of where I was going to go with that, too. If for any reason the buyer has an extreme feeling of like, ooh, I need to keep my shoes on, bad idea.
Bad vibes,
so that's kind of the clean thing. And I guess 3 things kind of with that is just, to get rid of the dirty laundry, or at least cover it up. Seeing dirty towels hung on the bars, and ditching those. Seeing stains of any kind on carpet or furniture. That might be, where a stager needs to come in and soft stage or replace some of that, or you just need to get creative in hiding it. So...
Well, that's funny. I've got a folder with several thousand bad real estate photos. Someday I'll share.
Fun, yes.
Most of those revolve around staging.
Okay,
or the lack
sure.
thereof.
Or the lack thereof. Okay, very good.
You know what my pet peeve is? Smells.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, either over fresheners, right, or like sour milk or some unidentified unidentified odor.
And the house is occupied. We're living.
Read this week the difference between men and women. If a woman asked you to smell something, it probably smells nice.
Here, smell this. I get it.
Yeah.
So how about mistakes? I'm sure you're not perfect, but what are some of the big What is the biggest home staging mistake that you have made?
Yeah, what I struggle with the most, I know. Well, one thing I struggle with the most is that fine line between bringing in enough inventory and too much inventory.
Oh, interesting.
Kind of back to I like to stage in a day, and that's kind of, for personal reasons, and I want to make that day as short as possible. So hitting the mark on inventory and just making sure that I don't have to haul things back to my my storage unit or go out and, kind of do the supermarket sweep, Target run, and, fill some gaps. So, I just, the mistake that I try to, minimize is just, hitting the nail on the head, at my storage and bringing in exactly what the client needs. So the client never sees, that I might be running around town in a 16-hour day. I'll still always finish the job in a day, but that's a mistake I try to avoid personally. So
makes sense. So where do you see yourself and your business in 3 to 5 years?
Sure. So I do just want to keep it simple. I like home staging, and I can see that being kind of it for the long haul. I just want to, build a great book of business, build some relationships, and kind of be everything to a core set of people rather than, being everything to everybody. That being said, a lot of times home staging takes on kind of an interior design path. And for whatever reason, what excites me more than that is to do, kind of as a supplemental idea, is to be a professional organizer. So coming in and doing closets or pantries or kids' playrooms and toys, like for whatever reason. I mean, you can see the excitement in my eyes. I know that the audience can't. But for whatever reason, that just gets me very excited. Oh, okay, yeah.
Very.
And yeah, so home staging always being number one, really making that the priority and investing in the number one, which is home staging.
So, Porter, you said a huge value. I frequently have clients that have been in a home 30 years and figuring out what to keep and what to get rid of is huge. So having someone walk through that with
all
them,
the way through to staging.
Oh man, that's huge.
Right?
Yeah.
And having a finesse about it, and it really is kind of a personal thing, It's not that, your knickknacks and the things you've collected over the years aren't important or have great history and value, but, it's a transaction. We're heading down the road of a very large transaction. Let's look at it from a business perspective and get your house sold for top dollar.
Well, that flew by. Thank you for coming on the show
of course.
today, Abby.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Abby.
It was a lot of fun. After the break, we're going to have some final thoughts, a listing launch, and so come on back after this short commercial break.
Did you know when you pay rent, you're actually paying someone else's mortgage? Are you tired of missing out on owning your own home? Fact. Homeowners on average have 40 times the financial net worth of renters. The Eastside Real Estate Team has been helping many first-time home buyers find and buy their first home. They specialize in customer service and put you first. They listen first to what you're looking for, and then they take the time to make sure their clients understand every aspect of the home buying process. If owning a home has been your dream, the Eastside Real Estate Team can help you. For a free, no-hassle consultation, call 425-200-4093 or find them online at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.
Are you overwhelmed with what it takes to get your property market ready or don't know where to start? Abby Burdick Designs can take you step by step through preparing the interior of your home for sale for maximum interest and value for potential buyers. Abby Burdick Designs offers individualized services in all forms and at all price points to align with your needs. Abby Burdick Designs welcomes home staging and interior improvement questions and conversations in all forms at all times. Call 425-890-2343 or email abby@abbyburdickdesigns.com for more information.
Tell your friends about Alternative Talk 1150.
We are back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Real Talk on 1150 KKNW. Guess what?
What?
The team is not slowing down. It's the fourth quarter. You know, can you win the game in the third quarter? No. You got to win the game in the fourth quarter.
It ain't over till it's over.
It ain't over. So the team just listed two great homes. I'd like to share a little bit before we get to Brian's final thought. The first one is in Seattle. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, top floor condo.
Oh, nice.
Looks fantastic, and I got to tell you, it's got a great location.
Got a view?
A view of the neighbors. So,
right.
no, not really a view.
Good light?
Great light. Very light and bright. Top floor, $325.
Really?
$325.
Wow. That's a hot item.
Affordable property that if you want to live within a 15, 20-minute commute to downtown Seattle, it's near Greenwood, Green Lake, and Northgate, so like right in that triangle.
So tell me about the man cave.
Oh, the man cave. It's pretty awesome. So we've got a beautiful 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath home that has been completely remodeled. It's in Sammamish, and the cool thing about it is it's in one of the more. It was built in '92, so the plot, the yard size is generous, right?
Mm.
A lot of times the new homes that size, you're on a 6,500 square foot lot. This one I think is like, I want to say 12 to 14. Good 12 to 14,000 square feet lot. So good private backyard, nice front yard, 3-car garage, and we call it the man cave house because it's got dark colors. It's got a beautiful remodeled kitchen that is perfect for entertaining. Really long slab quartz, lots of extra storage, lots of good stuff in there. So that'll be open this weekend.
Nice.
The listing price is $1,175,000.
Wow.
It's probably a good
property.
value in that area. So goes to Issaquah Schools.
Nice.
It's just a great location near Beaver Lake. So if any of our listeners check our Facebook page, the eastsiderealestateteam.com, it'll be published there later today.
Wow, sounds good. So before I forget, I want to do a shout out for my friends Andre and Anthony, who are high up on their ladders, making the East Side beautiful for Christmas, hanging Christmas lights. It's almost that time.
That's right.
But these guys are killing it, putting lights up, and I think my house is next.
Nice.
I'm excited, man.
And that's a great service this time of year. You get it started earlier. You're looking like a hero right around the holiday time.
Right.
All right. So it looks like there's a fall event coming up in Issaquah called Just Between Friends Issaquah. So check it out. It's at Pickering Barn. It's Issaquah fall event right around the corner. Check out the great selection on deals. The first day open to the public, free admission. Normally it's $2. Register. It's the hottest ticket in town. Shop at the Pickering Barn in Issaquah. Bring your own bags to carry all your great finds with you. Bring relatives so you can divide and conquer. Huge sales floors, and find tickets and information on Eventbrite. So Just Between Friends, Issaquah. I guess they're selling whatever.
Yeah.
It's like a garage sale?
I don't know.
Huh.
Let's go and find out.
Let's go check that out.
So that concludes our show for this week. I want to especially thank our guests, Pat, Abby, and Michael, for taking the time to speak with us. It was a great show. Thank you all for listening. And before we go, I found this quote about a home that I would like to share. Man travels the world over in search of what he needs and returns home to find it. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of KKNW, its management, or other advertisers. Contests are the responsibility of the host of this program and not KKNW. This is Alternative Talk 1150 AM, KKNW Seattle, and KNUC 98.9 HD3 Seattle.
Well, good afternoon. Eric Ryder here with you on Alternative Talk 1150 AM.